Hi, friends. I hope you're having a really good W week this week. We've been learning about words and sounds for the letter W, and I wanted to share with you a book that we normally would read in our classroom. But since we can't be in our classroom, I thought I would read this book to you now, and so you can share it with your families at home when you're thinking about your own W words that you might want to put into your words journal. So the title of this one is called Worm's Wagon, and the author is Samantha Berger and illustrated by Matt Phillips. And remember, the author is the person who writes the words, and the illustrator is the person who does the pictures. So as we go inside, I want you to think about this worm. He is the main character, and in this book, he's pulling a wagon, and he's going on a trip. And he encounters some new friends that he meets along the way. And the friends are always asking him the same question over and over again. And he is such a good friend. He's always saying yes. But then something happens that makes me wonder, should he have done all the things that he said he would do? I don't know. What would you do? We'll see. So here's Wagon. And the words say, one day, Worm went to the woods to gather walnuts. He brought his wagon with him. So here's the wagon that I was talking about. So W is for wagon. And here's the main character, Worm, worm. And he's pulling along his wagon. And do you remember what he's going to go get? Walnuts in the woods. So here's Worm, and he's pulling his wagon, and he has picked up some walnuts in his wagon. On his way home, Worm saw Woodpecker. Here's Woodpecker up in the tree, and the woodpecker is whistling in the weeping willow. Woodpecker asks Worm for a ride. Wow, what a wagon, says the woodpecker. So a woodpecker wants to jump in the wagon and go for a ride with the walnuts. What do you think Worm will say? Let's see. Well, I can see that he said yes because I see Woodpecker here on top of the pile of walnuts in the wagon. Well, here's a new character right here. It's a W friend also. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker in his wagon. Soon they came upon Weasel eating... What fruit do you think that is? Can you see it? It is watermelon. Weasel asks Worm for a ride. Wow, what a wagon. So Weasel wants to jump in the wagon and go for a ride too. What do you think Worm will say? What would you say? Guess what? He said yes. He is a kind and caring friend, and he wants to give everybody a turn to go in his wagon with him. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker and Weasel in his wagon. Before long, they bumped into Wombat. Here's Wombat. Wombat is an animal that comes from Australia. Wombat's wearing something on her head. Can you see what that is that starts with a W? They bump into Wombat wearing her wig. Wombat asks Worm for a ride. Wow, what a wagon! Can I go for a ride? What do you think Worm will say? Well, I see Worm's face. He's smiling. So I think maybe he'll say yes, because he said yes to all the others. So let's see. Oh, he must have said yes, because in the wagon I see the three characters. First came the Woodpecker, and then the Weasel, and then the Wombat. But I'm looking at Worm's face, and his mouth has changed. I wonder why. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker, Weasel, and Wombat in his wagon. Next, they met Wolf on his way to work. So Wolf is going to work, and guess what Wolf says? Wolf looks at Worm and he says, "Can I go for a ride?" What do you think Worm's going to say? And why do you think Worm has this face? when Wolf says, "Wow, what a wagon." I don't know. The wagon's getting pretty full. There they are. So he must have let Wolf in because I see Wolf right here in the back of the wagon. So now the wagon is getting really full. And I want you to really see Worm's face. Because guess who's next? You're not going to believe it. Do you know who this character is? It's a walrus. And he's huge. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker, Weasel, Wombat, and Wolf in his wagon. Soon they saw Walrus, winking and waving. "Hey, do you think I can get a ride?" said Walrus to Worm. Oh my goodness, what is Worm going to say now? He's let everybody else on. Do you think he's going to let Walrus on too? I don't know. What would you do? Let's see. Oh, he did. But look in the water. There's a new character that's even bigger, and I want you to see Worm's face. Oh, he's very worried. Worm wiggled along, pulling Woodpecker, Weasel, Wombat, Wolf, and Walrus in his wagon. Up ahead they saw Whale playing in the water. Guess what Whale said? "Hey, Worm, can I get a ride too?" Oh my goodness. I don't know. I don't know if Worm should do it. I mean, the wagon is completely full. You can see all the friends packed in there. And the whale is huge. I don't know. Let's see what he does. Oh, he let him in. Look at Worm's face now. Oh, he is really struggling to pull that wagon now. It is so heavy, there's so much weight. Worm wiggled with all of his might, trying to pull Woodpecker, Weasel, Wombat, Wolf, Walrus, and Whale in the wagon. But the wagon would not move. Why not? Why is the wagon stuck and not moving anymore on this path? I don't know. I still see everything's there, so I'm not sure. But the next sentence gives us a clue because it says, the wheels, wheels, started to wobble. Do you know what wobble means? They're starting to shake. Why do you think they're starting to shake? And if they shake, what could happen? You're going to see on the next page. Oh, yikes. Wham! The weight was too much for the wagon. It crashed to the ground. "Oh no, my wagon!" Worm wailed. Now, this is a whale, but Worm is wailing. So what do you think wailing means? Can you see the water coming out of his eyes? He's wailing. Wailing is another word for crying. If you really, really, really are sad about something and you cry hard, that's called wailing. And Worm is wailing. Why do you think he's wailing? I don't know. When I look at it, I see his wagon is broken into a bunch of pieces. He must be so upset. And all along he was being such a caring friend, letting everybody come along. Well, guess what? The friends are going to pay him back. Because they say, "Don't worry, Worm," the animal said. Worm's friends worked hard to put his wagon back together that afternoon. So you can see all of them picking up the pieces and trying to repair his wagon back together again. That's nice. They should do that. They broke it, right? When the wagon was fixed, Worm wiggled into it. So now, here's the friends, and here's the wagon, And now it's back with filled up with the walnuts that he originally went to go find. And he is going for a ride. And all the friends are pulling him this time. Then Wombat, Weasel, Wolf, Woodpecker, Walrus, and the Whale pulled Worm all the way home, and weary Worm had a wonderful ride. So here he is, heading back home with his friends, taking good care of him. He's lucky to have good friends, and the friends were lucky that he gave them a ride too. So in this picture, there are a lot of things that start with W. I want you to look. Do you see a woodpecker? A worm? Do you see some woods maybe from the trees? Or some walnuts on the ground? What about on this side? Do you see the wagon? Oh, here's walnuts here in the window. I know several of you have sent me a window for your W idea. Here's the wolf. And I'm going to bring you closer to the wolf because the wolf is blowing on something that starts with W. And then also on his wrist, he has something that starts with W too. Can you see his watch on his wrist? And also the whistle that he's blowing? Yep, those are W ideas as well. So the poem at the back says, W is for worm and a wagon to pull. W is for wig, whale, wave, and wool. W is for watermelon, juicy and sweet. W is for walnuts, waffles, and wheat. Hooray for W, big and small, the wildest, wackiest letter of all. So hopefully through listening to the story you were able to get some W ideas because not today, but tomorrow we're going to put them in our Words journal. So you're going to pick 5. So they might come from the book, but they might come from the list, or they might come from your own brain. Some ideas that you came up with your family. All right? So hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll talk to you soon.